please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody to the November meeting of the Irondequoit Zoning Board of Appeals. Before we get underway, there's a few administrative matters I need to cover. First, the fire exit is located to your left. In the event of a fire, you will be notified by an announcement. If so notified, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the exit. Do not use the elevator. Use either the north or the south stairs to leave the building. Our meetings are recorded by our Secretary, Michelle, for the purpose of a record in minutes, not for the purpose of a verbatim transcript. In order to help her identify who is speaking, every time you come to the podium, please identify yourself and speak into the microphone. We follow the items in the order that they appear on the agenda, extra copies of which are available on the table near the door. Once the case has been called, the applicant or their representative will come to the podium, identify themselves, state their address, pause a moment, raise their right hand to be sworn, and then present their case. During the presentation of the case, the zoning board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or engage in discussion with the applicant. Once that process has been completed, the case will be open to public input. Anyone who wishes to speak to the board regarding any of the applications should come to the podium, identify themselves along with their address, and direct their questions and comments to the board, not to the applicant. Once all public input has been completed, the applicant or their representative will be given the opportunity to respond to any public input. Once that's completed, the hearing will be closed and we'll continue on to the next case. After all the cases have been heard, the board will take a short recess and then return to deliberate the case in the order that the cases appear on the agenda and for which the applicants are still present. No further input is allowed at this point, but you're welcome to stay and listen to the deliberation. If you leave, you can find out the results by calling the Planning and Zoning Department tomorrow morning after 9 a.m. or tuning in to watch us on one of the 1,300 channels on cable if you have cable. So, we will call the first case on the agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item is case number ZB 2023-11-1, request by Costich Engineering, acting as agent for Armand D. Alfonso, for area variances to demolish an existing structure and construct a new single-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot with less than required lot depth, width, and area, and with less than required side and rear setbacks on premises 4865 Culver Road in an R1 residential district.
Good evening. I'm Evan Gaffel with Costich Engineering. Just wanted to hand these out quick. It's the same site plan that you have, it's just added an aerial underneath. So I represent the owners of...
And your address, please?
Oh, yep, sorry. It's 217 Lake Ave, Rochester, New York.
You swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
So I represent the client at 4865 Clover Road. They are looking to demo the existing house and build new, a two-story residential dwelling that will meet current, finished floor elevations. It just looking at rehabbing the existing building compared to building new. This was a better option for them. This is a pre-existing non-conforming lot, and the applicant has worked with the architect really to minimize the impact that they could. Some of the things is the existing side setback is 2.8 feet. The proposed is 3.6. They pulled the dwelling away from the lake to the south as far as they could before they got into physical constraints with grading and the neighbors. So they went from the existing of 3.9 feet to 13.4. So the unique thing with this too is that the whole property and the whole stretch there is in the coastal erosion hazard area, which we have submitted variance request to the DEC. That has been submitted, so we are going to currently work with them. Since the variances that we are asking for are less than what is existing today, we feel that there will be no impact to the character of the neighborhood. We're not encroaching any closer to anyone or any other thing there. And we're actually pulling more south. So what I did with the site plan today was just added that aerial so that you could get a sense of the character of the neighborhood. I feel that they're right in line. They're actually further back from the lake. So that's pretty much it in an overview. Footprint is smaller than the existing dwelling.
Sorry, you said the footprint is smaller than the existing?
Correct. The lot is so narrow to begin with, so I think they made it as narrow as they could.
What's the reason for demolishing the existing structure and replacing it?
I believe it was
It's an aesthetic choice, or?
yeah, and I think once you do a certain amount of renovations, you have to bring it up to that new finished floor elevation. So the amount to kind of rehab that, kind of got into, might as well just build new with what you want. This is a property they've had and they want to invest into it. And
Any questions? All right. Seeing none. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this application? Is there anyone here who'd like to talk to us about the application who's neither in favor of it nor opposed to it, but wants to talk to us about some aspect of the application, like new construction versus renovation or anything like that? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing.
I just want to add one thing. I do have a letter of support from the neighbor at 4861.
Okay, if you could hand that up, and we'll read that into the record. We have a communication from Allison Oakes at 4861 Culver Road, who indicates that the requested variances are less invasive than the existing conditions and do not create an adverse effect on her property, which is next door. I think hers would be next door to the west.
Yep.
I hope that you will grant them their variances to allow them to move forward with their project. Thank you. We'll close the hearing with respect to that matter and move on to the next matter on the agenda.
Next case on the agenda is case number ZB 2023-11-2, request by DDS Engineering and Surveying, acting as agent for Roman Coburn for area variances to construct a new single-family dwelling with less than required street front setback on premises 673 Seneca Road in an R2 residential district.
Hello, and I would just want to introduce myself, Ed Martin, engineer with DDS. Also in attendance tonight is Roman Kobrin. For the record, DDS's offices are located at 45 Hendricks Drive in Henrietta. And assuming you want to put me under oath,
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So what we have before you is a pretty straightforward application. These lots were created some years ago, and it's a fairly modest size lot with several development restrictions on them, including floodplain, steep slope, woodlot, and there is a unique configuration in the sense that this house or this property fronts on a road that has a reverse curve. And what that does, if you note on the plans that we submitted, the buildable area has several pinch points, making it very difficult to build what I would call a typical home in that area. After talking with Roman for some time, he settled on a home that's just over 1,400 square feet, which, as you can recognize, is pretty modest in size. So we've done everything we can to keep the house as small as possible. Now we have to deal with things like the floodplain, the steep slope, the woodlot, and your zoning code. So what we've proposed is what we think is a good balance between impacts to steep slope, woodlot, and your front setback. So we are requesting a front setback variance of 18 feet, which sounds worse when I say it than it is in reality. If you look at the plan, the entryway has a corner that encroaches in that setback significantly. So what we did from a planning standpoint, we said, all right, if we set this home in a place that kind of finds this happy balance, can we safely park vehicles and not obstruct safe traffic along Seneca Road? And we've done that. We can park a full-size pickup truck outside of the garage and not impact either the travel or the site distance along that. So I think, as you can see, we've got a unique scenario, in which is kind of why this board is created, I would say. So we're hoping that you agree with us and respectfully ask that you consider granting us the front setback variance. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Is the concrete barrier wall going to remain?
I don't believe so. Where's Roman? The concrete barriers, are they going to remain? You can just tell me, I'll relay.
We're going to push it back.
Okay. Well, go ahead. This is Roman Kobrin.
Roman Copran, 673 Seneca Road.
Can you just raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
The concrete barriers will be pushed back. I would talk to DP, Department of Public Works, and when they're going to be redoing the road, they're going to set the barriers back to where they're going to be safely in a safe position.
I assume they prevent people from, or at least the purpose of them is to prevent people from
Parking on
not
the
making the
property.
curve.
We had previously a lot of people where they try parking fish right off of that
Okay.
property, so we put the barriers there to kind of protect the property for the time being.
Okay.
Sir.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for the applicant?
You just be working any on the steep slope stuff around there and some trees and all that I saw?
We are. The area to the west of the home,
Yep.
along the west boundary, is occupied by both steep slopes and woodlot. So we are encroaching that a little bit, but just enough to get us safely off the road to make this work.
Because I saw that lane coming down on the side there and it looked like it was sliding a little bit, so I was just wondering if anything was going to be taken care of for that.
That will be. The site plan addresses erosion control, so that'll include revegetation of any areas that have been disturbed or that are unstable.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Is that site plan different than the one we've got? Because
It may be our updated one because we have met with the planning board
Okay.
initially, but the planning issues should be exactly the same. Is there something you're seeing that's questionable?
The dark area on the right-hand side,
This area?
yeah, but no, below that, the darker area.
The dark rectangle.
I'm presuming that's the driveway to the garage?
Yes, this is a driveway.
Right, 'cause that's nice. That's where our plan shows a construction entrance.
It shows what? I'm sorry.
Construction entrance?
So stabilized construction entrance is just an area where we can get construction vehicles off the road and not track.
But I mean, it's the same area.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
All it is that's a pretty tight area going down that road, and when I went down, there was an Amazon truck parked right in the center. I had to wait 10 minutes for him, so it's a tough area to get
Yeah.
around and navigate once you get past the main park going down, so.
All right. Seeing no further questions or comments from the board, we'll open this case up to public input. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about new construction or anything like that that has no opinion one way or the other on the application? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter. And I don't believe we have any other matters on the agenda this evening. Is that correct? Correct, sir. Then the board will be in recess for till 7:25.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, with respect to the application pertaining to 4865 Titus Avenue, this is a, oh, you can sit down. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application as submitted. There's not going to be a change to the neighborhood because it's actually the same footprint and a little smaller. It's not a substantial request. Alternatives not requiring a variance would be costly to remodel, probably is what they were talking about. Won't have effect on the physical and environmental conditions if granted. And is the situation self-created? Yeah, but they would like to have a newer, modern place, and I think it would bring up the area a little bit too, because it's an older neighborhood.
Second.
I would also note that the fact that they're shrinking the footprint is actually more in conformance with the ordinance than what's there now. So as opposed to a substantial variance, it's actually a negative substantial variance. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 5 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent, and the board remains constituted 1 member less than provided by statute. Next item on this agenda is the application pertaining to 673 Seneca Road. This is also a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? I'll make a motion that we approve the variance as requested. The following findings of fact. The granting of these variances will not effectuate any possible negative change to the character of the neighborhood. The houses that are in this area are all residential structures, with the exception of the yacht club, which is around the bend and on the bay. So it will not change the character of the neighborhood. The alternatives that don't require a variance would be a house that would largely be of no practical benefit, since it would be very tough to put anything on that property other than one of those small houses that are out there. It's not a substantial request in the sense that they have maximized the ability to minimize the changes on the property and diminish the necessary variances in order to fit the house into the character of the neighborhood and the lot that's available. It will not have an adverse physical or environmental effect if it is granted in terms of erosion control, steep slopes, and things of that nature. That the planning board will be attending to that with respect to the site plan approval. The situation is not self-created because nothing is there presently, and it is in a residential neighborhood which contemplates the erection of a residential structure on the property. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 5 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent, and the board remains constituted at 1 member less than authorized by the statute. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none, I would move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 5 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent, and the board remains constituted at one member less than authorized by the statute.